So let us discuss Agile model in SDLC models, right? As you know, SDLC is the software development life cycle, and there is multiple models available to implement SDLC phases. So we'll talk about Agile model in this video, and please subscribe to my channel QATutorials to view the latest videos I post in this channel, and click on bell icon to get notifications whenever I post new videos. So let us discuss the Agile model in SDLC. Basically, Agile model is one of the popular software development methods, right? So basically, it is a combination of both incremental and iterative model for managing product development, right? This is one of the most popular methods and is used currently in a lot of projects, right? This is how the Agile model looks. There will be a product backlog, and there is a sprint backlog, right? There is a daily scrum meeting, which is called a sprint, right? Then from the sprint you get like potentially shippable product, and then you will be going into retrospective meeting. Then this cycle repeats until the product is completely done, right? So there is a product backlog, has all the items that needs to be developed, all the requirements that needs to be developed. So some of them will be moved to the sprint backlog for current planning in the sprint, and the daily activity will be done in the sprint, and then the output of the sprint will be the shipful product. Then once sprint is completed, there will be a sprint retrospective meeting to understand what worked in the sprint and what are the problems in the sprint, and then the new sprint is planned. So each sprint probably will be a 2 weeks to 1 month sprint, and all the SDLC phases will be repeated in the sprint, like requirements, design, coding, testing, and release will be done within the sprint. So this is the Agile methodology. Let us see what are the various terms in Agile methodology, right? So Agile methodology, there is different roles in the Agile methodology. So one is product owner. Who is the product owner? He usually represents the client and acts as a point of contact from client side. So the one who prioritizes list of product backlogs that the Scrum team should finish and release is the product owner who prioritizes the backlog items, and which will be taken up for development, right? Scrum Master. Who is a Scrum Master? He is a facilitator to the Scrum development team. So he clarifies the queries and organizes the team from distractions and teaches the team how to use Scrum, and also concentrates on return on investment. So he is the facilitator to the Scrum development team, and he will prioritize things, organizes the team, and uses the Scrum and to follow the Scrum methodologies to implement or develop the product, right? Scrum development team. What is Scrum development team? Is basically developers and QAs, right? Who develops the product. So QA team is also part of this Scrum development team. So this team decides the effort estimation to complete product backlog items. So it decides how much time is required to complete the items and things like that. So the Scrum team is basically cross-functional self-organization group of dedicated people. So Scrum team consists of a product owner, a business analyst, developers, and QAs, right? So recommended size is 7 plus minus 2, between 5 to 9 members in a team, right? So each Scrum team has a product owner, Scrum Master, right? Then developers and QAs as part of the Agile model. So these are the various roles in the Scrum team. What are the artifacts that gets created in the Agile model, right? So these are the various artifacts that's created. The user stories. So these are not like requirement documents. User stories, stakeholder mentions what features they need and what they want to achieve, right? So they write various features in the user stories. right? Then product backlog. So this is the repository where list of product backlog items are stored and maintained by the product owner. So product owner maintains this product backlog. So a list of product backlog items is prioritized by product owner as high and low, and also could reprioritize the product backlog constantly. So you keep on changing the priorities for the backlog items, and the high priority items are taken for development. Then the sprint backlog. What is sprint backlog? A group of user stories which Scrum development team agreed to do during the current sprint, right? So once you design a sprint, the sprint backlog contains the items that will be worked on by Scrum development team for the current sprint. Then that is the sprint backlog. Then there is the progress of the sprint is monitored by various charts like product burn down chart, sprint burn down chart, release burn down chart, and defect burn down chart. What is product burn down chart? A graph that shows how many product backlog items implemented or not implemented is basically a tracker for product backlog items. Similarly, sprint burn down chart, it shows how many sprints implemented and not implemented by the Scrum team. That is basically how many sprints are implemented and how many sprints not yet to be implemented will be tracked by this chart. A release burn down chart, a graph that shows a list of releases still pending which some Scrum team has planned. Then the defects. So it's the same thing for defects. How many defects identified and fixed. So burn down charts provide proof that project is on track or not. So this basically these charts will provide how much project is completed, how far it is, and whether we are on the schedule or not, and things like that. Right? These are the various artifacts that's created in the Agile model. So there is various meetings that will be happening in the Scrum Agile model. So these are the various meetings that will be happening in the Agile model. The one is sprint planning meeting. The first step is the sprint planning meeting where the whole team attends. The product owner selects product backlog items from the product backlog and they move to the sprint backlogs, right? So Scrum development team decides and provides the effort estimation. So they do the effort estimation in the sprint planning meeting and identifies the priority items that needs to be worked upon in the sprint. Then the daily Scrum meeting, that is called the daily stand-up call. Here each team member reports to the peer team member on what he did yesterday, what is he going to do today, and what are the problems that are facing for the completing the tasks, right? So reporting will be between peers, not to Scrum Master or product owner. Daily Scrum is generally approximately 15 minutes. It's basically a progress for what is done yesterday and what is done today, and is there any problems while completing the tasks. That is called daily Scrum meeting. Then the sprint review meeting, right? So this is the sprint meeting. So the Scrum development team will attend, will demonstrate a potentially shippable product, right? So they will do a demo of the whatever completed incremental product. So product owner declares which items are completed and which are not completed. Then product owner adds additional items to product backlog based on the stakeholders' feedback. This is kind of a demo of what is developed and what items are accepted and what is not accepted, and the product backlog is updated based on the feedback. Then sprint retrospective meeting. This is the last meeting in the sprint, right? The Scrum team meets again after the sprint review meeting and documents lessons learned in the earlier sprint, such as what went well and what could be improved. So it basically helps Scrum team to avoid mistakes in the next sprint. So these are the various meetings that will happen in the Agile model, like sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, and sprint retrospective meeting. So what are the benefits? And when we use this Scrum methodology, So the client is not so clear on requirements. The client expects quick releases, and client doesn't give all the requirements at a time. Like most of the bigger projects, so client may not know all the requirements at a time, and they want to see progress in the project from time to time. So this methodology is highly useful. So this is about the Agile model. If you have any questions or comments, put in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.